How does knowing your personal values change your decision making? How does it bring ease? How does it reduce overwhelm? Seems like this is something we really need to know right now. When everything is pulling us in so many directions, we want to be responsible. We see so many needs, so many things that are important that we want to address. And of course, we're finite, right? But we're more than finite. We're more than just limited, constrained. We also have a fire inside us. Values helps us to remember what our fire burns for and make sure that we apply that energy in a way that brings about what we want to see in the world. Knowing your values gives you a way to choose. I mean, for so many of us, those of us who are privileged, we have problems like, which choice among many do I make? It's a luxury problem, but it still brings stress. Which direction do I head? Which course do I take? Which of these many possible directions for my work will I focus on? And we can become paralyzed because we want to make the best choice. And the fact is that best choice in a complex system is an illusion. Choices are always in context. There is the best choice for me and the best choice in this moment. And the only one who can choose is me. Even if I'm accepting other people's choices imposed on me, when I accept them, I'm choosing. So values allow us to bring what we love into visibility and puts us in the driver's seat of making those choices and reminds us that we're free to choose. You're free to say no to something that's important to you now, to choose another thing that is important to you now. You're resourceful to know that if you choose this one thing that's important and leave behind the other for a time, you can set up ways to remind yourself to check in on this other value, to feel if it's the time to bring it back in, because this too makes you alive, just as this one does. Your values are the things that make you feel, oh, I'm in the right place. I'm doing the right things. I am being myself. I'm being who I want to be, not who anybody else tells you need to be, who you want to be. Values work is not about discovering something outside you. It's about discovering something that's burning in you that may be hidden. And so values, a lot of values work is removing this armor we put on ourselves. I must be a good daughter. I must be a good name of your job title. I must save the planet. We have all this armor put on us that comes from the outside. And values work says, let's put the armor aside for a moment. Let's allow what's in you to naturally bloom. What does this plant look like? And each one is different. And where does this plant want to grow? The fact is, and this is why we don't do values for work and values for home, there is one of you. This one of you touches all the areas of your life. These values go with you into your work and your home and your play and your education and even your sleep. If you're not honoring them, they may disturb your sleep or your health. So this is why we work with personal values in general. And we want to let this plant bloom so that this vibrancy, this liveliness comes into everything you do. So that this passion for life can be set free, so that on Monday morning you're excited to go to work. And on Saturday morning you're excited to spend time with your children. Or whatever it is, your secret project, the book that you're writing, that you have peace to pursue these things at the right time as you choose. And you bring your fire, your passion into all of these things. We don't get to be passionate 100% of the time. It would be exhausting. But to live with joy, it helps to find how do you bring that passion into everything you do. So your passion for beauty may show up in one way with your children. It may show up in a different way in your work. It may look very different. People may not know they're related. But when you can name your values, you realize you're honoring something that you deeply need. And then when you need to make a choice, among all the plethora of good things you can choose, they're all good. You are free in a moment, given your context, given what burns in you, given what you need right now, to make a choice for now and to know that you will balance it over time because you know what's important to you. You've developed skills to be responsible. This allows you to be responsible to yourself so that you don't feel pressured and squashed and shoved around. You're choosing. Once you know, you're choosing. People are pushing around and you're submitting to being pushed around, you're choosing it. And you may very well choose that for a reason to take care of something else that is important to you. Now you're back in control. And it can shift over time. How does that sound? I would like you to shine. I would like you to take that piece of being at peace with the choices you're making. Take that into the family room. Take that into the workplace. You don't put it on your resume. Well, no, it won't show up on LinkedIn, although it might in your recommendations. But it will show up in the interview. It will show up in the team room. It will show up in how you show up. And will show people a possibility that they may have thought they'd lost. To simply be joyful, to simply seek to do good. They will see that when you show up centered, peaceful, joyful. And strangely, this inner journey starts on the outside with an exercise, with words that you didn't make up. My values exercise brings you something like 95 words that taken from research about values. But we take those and we crunch them down and we squeeze the juice out of them till we get your values. And so, for example, those are 5 of my values. They're there to remind me. And they don't say things like courage, wealth, continual learning. Although those things are inside of other names that I've put on things. The names that we come up with are things that are really juicy for you so that they're easy to remember, so that they connect with your heart rather than your brain. So for example, meaningful, joyful work. There was a list of words that started out making that pot, but it came down to meaningful and joyful work. Meaningful, joyful work for me, meaningful, joyful work for you, for the neighbor that I meet on the street, for my family. And it shows up in different ways. But when that is being crushed, I feel it and I know something's not right here. And then I can actually look for ways to expand that, to make that happen more often. I would love to help you find your juicy values words. It doesn't take long. This is a 90-minute exercise. You might only get to step 4 or 5 and feel stuck. That's where the coaching can be helpful. Or then when you get to step 4 or 5 and you feel stuck, go and have coffee with a friend, someone who knows you well, somebody who listens well, somebody you trust, and just talk about it and listen to yourself, explain to them. And as you explain, sometimes the name just pops out. wow, I keep talking about gardens. Maybe this one has something to do with growth or gardens, and then the name may just pop out as you're talking. So I wish you the joy of knowing what you want in terms of your values, so that when you have to make other choices, you can choose what you want and be peaceful about it. Might make your decisions faster too.